Greetings from the Book Whisper. Every story is a journey into a world of love, passion, deception, and self-discovery. Close your eyes, let the sounds carry you away, and may this story touch your heart. The Lens of Betrayal. Part 1, Cracks in Manhattan. The glittering skyline of Manhattan, a breathtaking panorama of ambition and aspiration, offered little solace to Mia. From their chic, minimalist apartment on the Upper West Side, the city lights, usually a source of inspiration, now seemed like cold, distant stars, mirroring the growing chill between her and Elijah. He was a titan of the corporate legal world, a man whose life revolved around the intricate dance of contracts, depositions, and courtroom victories. His days were a relentless pursuit of success, measured in billable hours and lucrative settlements, leaving little room for the subtler nuances of a shared life. Mia, a freelance photographer, found herself increasingly adrift in the vast expanse of their gilded cage, her camera, once an extension of her soul, now often gathering dust. Their initial years together had been a whirlwind of youthful passion, a heady blend of shared dreams and intoxicating ambition. They'd navigated the early struggles of their careers with a fierce, unwavering love, their small apartment in Brooklyn a sanctuary filled with the scent of developing chemicals and the promise of a future they were building together. But success, for Elijah, had brought a profound emotional detachment. His work consumed him, transforming him into a strategist, a master of calculated moves, both in the courtroom and, it seemed, at home. Mia's own aspirations, her burning desire to capture the raw, unfiltered essence of life through her lens, felt increasingly overshadowed, relegated to the realm of a hobby, a pleasant pastime for his accomplished wife. The emptiness within Mia began to manifest in her art. Her photographs, once vibrant and bursting with life, took on a darker, more introspective tone. She found herself drawn to the hidden corners of the city, the overlooked alleyways, the faces etched with the stories of struggle and resilience. It was in one of these urban explorations, amidst the bohemian pulse of the East Village, that she met Julian. He was an art dealer, with eyes that held the shrewdness of a seasoned negotiator and a charm that could disarm even the most hardened cynic. He spoke of her work with an intensity that Elijah's pragmatic assessments had long ceased to offer. He saw not just a hobbyist, but a true artist, a visionary whose talent deserved to be recognized, nurtured, and celebrated. Julian's admiration was a potent, intoxicating perfume, a scent Mia had been desperately craving. He introduced her to a world of avant-garde galleries, of passionate discussions about art and life, a world far removed from Elijah's sterile boardrooms and late-night conference calls. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, filled with a shared understanding of art, of ambition, and of the unspoken desires that pulsed beneath the surface of polite society. He saw the unfulfilled artist within her, the woman yearning for validation, for a spark of genuine passion that had long been extinguished in her marriage. Mia found herself confiding in him, sharing her frustrations, her dreams, and the gnawing sense of loneliness that had become her constant companion. The carefully constructed order of her life was beginning to show cracks, fissures that threatened to unravel the very fabric of her carefully curated existence. Elijah, meanwhile, was on the cusp of a career-defining victory, a high-stakes corporate merger, a labyrinthine deal that had kept him awake for weeks, was nearing its conclusion. He saw Mia's recent preoccupation, her newfound distance, as a natural consequence of her own artistic process, perhaps a creative block or a period of intense self-exploration. He admired her talent, of course, but his mind was occupied with balance sheets, not brushstrokes, with legal precedents, not emotional complexities. He was oblivious to the subtle, yet significant, shift that was occurring in his wife's world, a shift that would soon cast long, unforgiving shadows over their carefully constructed life in Manhattan. Part 2, Secret Lenses and Cold Calculations. The clandestine meetings with Julian became Isabella's clandestine lifeline. In his world, the air vibrated with a different kind of energy, a raw, uninhibited pursuit of beauty and recognition that resonated deeply within her. He spoke of her photographs with an almost reverent intensity, not just praising her technical skill, but dissecting the emotional depth, the hidden narratives she captured with her lens. He saw her potential, he said, as a force that could disrupt the conventional art world, and his vision ignited a spark within her that had long been dormant. He introduced her to influential collectors, to gallery owners who were eager to showcase emerging talent, and Isabella, for the first time in years, felt truly seen, truly valued. Her photography began to evolve, no longer content with capturing the surface of city life. She dove deeper, her lens now focusing on the unspoken dramas unfolding in the intimate spaces of relationships, on the subtle gestures that betrayed hidden desires, on the unspoken tensions that simmered beneath the veneer of everyday existence. Her images became more daring, more provocative, imbued with raw sensuality and a poignant vulnerability. She found herself channeling her own unspoken frustrations, her longing for passion, into her work, creating images that were both breathtakingly beautiful and unsettlingly intimate. Elijah, immersed in the high-stakes drama of the merger, remained largely oblivious to the profound transformation occurring in Isabella's life. He saw her increased artistic output, her late nights in the studio, as a positive development, a sign that she was finally finding her creative voice. Yet, even his sharp, analytical mind couldn't entirely ignore the subtle shifts. He noticed the lingering, unfamiliar scent that sometimes clung to her clothes, a musky, exotic blend that was decidedly not her usual subtle floral. He observed her newfound animation when discussing her latest projects, a vibrant spark in her eyes that he hadn't seen in years, a spark that seemed to flicker brightest when she spoke of her artistic inspirations. His legal mind, trained to scrutinize every detail for potential discrepancies, began to register the subtle inconsistencies. Isabella's explanations for her prolonged absences grew more elaborate, her descriptions of her artistic endeavors becoming increasingly vague. He noticed the way she would sometimes hesitate before answering his questions, a flicker of something unreadable in her gaze, a subtle tension in her shoulders when he casually mentioned the late-night dinner. These were not the signs of a creative rut, they were the subtle indicators of a carefully guarded secret. Elijah didn't believe in leaving things to chance. His profession had taught him the value of due diligence, of thorough investigation. He discreetly engaged the services of a private investigator, a man named Antoine Dubois, a former police detective with an uncanny ability to blend into the urban landscape and an even more uncanny knack for uncovering hidden truths. Elijah's instructions were precise, yet intentionally vague. He wasn't looking for proof of infidelity, not yet. He was conducting a risk assessment, a thorough evaluation of potential liabilities that might impact his personal portfolio. He needed to understand the scope of Isabella's new artistic direction, to ensure it didn't inadvertently expose them to unwanted attention or, worse, to damage his own meticulously cultivated public image. The investigator's initial reports were filled with innocuous details: Isabella's visits to galleries, her attendance at art openings, her frequent sojourns into the East Village. But then, a pattern began to emerge: repeated meetings at a discreet, yet fashionable, art gallery owned by Julian Vance, encounters that often extended late into the evening, sometimes followed by Isabella's return home well after midnight. The reports, devoid of overt judgment, painted a picture of a professional relationship that seemed to be veering into more intimate territory. Elijah, the master strategist, felt a chill creep down his spine. He recognized the subtle scent of manipulation, the carefully orchestrated sequence of events that felt less like organic artistic development and more like a deliberate, calculated play. The cracks in their marriage, once barely perceptible, were widening into a chasm, and Elijah knew he needed to understand the full extent of the forces at play before they were consumed by the encroaching darkness. Part 3, The Mirror of Betrayal and the Games of Shadow. The carefully constructed narrative of artistic collaboration began to fray at the edges, revealing the unsettling truth beneath. Elijah, armed with Antoine's meticulously compiled reports and his own sharp intuition, no longer saw a wife pursuing her passion, but a pawn in a game he was only beginning to comprehend. The photographs Isabella had been producing lately, infused with a raw, almost visceral sensuality, were no longer just art, they were a mirror reflecting a betrayal that cut deeper than he had imagined. He saw the intimate poses, the lingering gazes, the almost palpable yearning captured in her images, and a cold, hard realization settled in his gut: she was not merely inspired, she was entangled. He remembered the subtle hints, The anonymous emails that had arrived in his inbox weeks ago, dismissed at the time as the desperate pleas of a jealous artist or the pranks of a disgruntled associate, now, they resurfaced with chilling clarity, the fragments of a puzzle that were rapidly falling into place. One email, in particular, stood out: "Beware the allure of the lens, Elijah. Some images are traps, designed to capture not just moments, but souls." At the time, he'd seen it as a poetic, if melodramatic, warning. Now, it felt like a prophecy. His legal mind, trained to dissect complex cases, to find the hidden motives and the subtle flaws in an opponent's argument, began to work with a terrifying efficiency. He wasn't a man prone to outbursts. His response to betrayal was not rage, but a calculated, chilling precision. He began to subtly probe, to ask seemingly innocuous questions, to observe Isabella's reactions with the unblinking scrutiny of a prosecutor building a case. He noticed the way her eyes would dart away when he mentioned Julian Vance, the slight tremor in her voice when discussing her latest artistic inspirations. Meanwhile, Isabella was also beginning to feel the unsettling shift. Julian's initial adoration, once a balm to her wounded spirit, was morphing into something more possessive, more demanding. His praise now felt laced with a subtle possessiveness, his suggestions for her work pushing her boundaries in ways that felt less like artistic encouragement and more like subtle coercion. He was fascinated by her ability to capture the raw essence of human emotion, and Elijah, she realized with a sickening lurch, had inadvertently become the unwitting subject of this dark exploration. Julian was not just an art dealer, he was a manipulator, a man who understood the power of perception and how to exploit it. He was using Isabella's talent, her desire for recognition, as a weapon, a way to gain access to Elijah's world, and perhaps, to orchestrate his downfall. She began to suspect that her passion was not a shared pursuit, but a carefully orchestrated performance. The intimate photographs she had been taking, the ones Julian had so eagerly championed, now felt less like expressions of her own rediscovered sensuality and more like staged provocations, designed to elicit a specific reaction. She saw the predatory gleam in Julian's eyes when he spoke of Elijah's powerful position, the subtle hints about making a name for oneself by disrupting the established order. Her quest for validation had led her into a labyrinth of deception, where her art had become a tool for someone else's ambition. Elijah, through his own discreet inquiries, began to connect the dots that led back to a formidable rival, a man named Marcus Thorne, a ruthless business magnate who had lost a significant deal to Elijah's firm a few months prior. Thorne was known for his aggressive tactics, his willingness to leverage any advantage, no matter how personal. The anonymous emails, the carefully planted information about Isabella's artistic pursuits and her growing estrangement from Elijah, it all pointed to Thorne. He wasn't just looking to win a business battle, he was aiming to dismantle Elijah's life entirely, using Isabella's emotional vulnerability as the ultimate weapon. The carefully constructed world of their Manhattan existence was no longer just cracking, it was being systematically dismantled, piece by calculated piece. The game had escalated, and the stakes were higher than either of them could have ever imagined. Part 4, Revealed Frames and Inevitable Truth. The cold precision of Elijah's investigation had culminated in a chilling revelation. Marcus Thorne, the ruthless magnate whose ambition knew no bounds, was not merely seeking revenge for a lost business deal, he was orchestrating a sophisticated campaign of personal destruction. Julian Vance, the charismatic art dealer, was not an independent player but a hired operative, a pawn in Thorne's larger, more sinister game. Vance's role had been to exploit Mia's vulnerability, to fuel her desire for validation and passion, and to capture it all through her lens, creating a damning visual record that Thorne intended to use as leverage, to publicly humiliate Elijah and shatter his carefully constructed reputation. The raw sensuality in Mia's photographs, which Julian had so enthusiastically championed, was, in essence, a staged performance, a carefully curated trap. Elijah, understanding the full scope of the conspiracy, knew that a direct confrontation with Thorne would be akin to stepping into a meticulously laid trap. Instead, he decided to play Thorne's own game, using his formidable legal acumen and his network of informants to orchestrate his countermove. He arranged a private meeting, not in a public space, but in a sterile, Neutral environment: a private conference room at a high-end legal firm, a place where alliances were forged and battles were won through strategy, not emotion. He invited Mia, and, through a series of carefully worded, almost intimidating summons, Marcus Thorne and Julian Vance, Antoine Dubois, the private investigator, was present, his silent presence a testament to the irrefutable evidence he had gathered. The atmosphere in the room was thick with unspoken accusations. Thorne, radiating an aura of unshakable confidence, sat across from Elijah, his smile a thin, predatory line. Julian Vance, visibly uncomfortable, shifted in his seat, his carefully constructed facade beginning to crack. Mia, pale but resolute, sat beside Elijah, her eyes fixed on the man who had once been her husband, now transformed into a strategist of devastating precision. Elijah began, his voice calm, measured, yet carrying an undeniable weight. He presented the evidence, not as an emotional outpouring of betrayal, but as a logical sequence of events, a meticulously documented conspiracy. He detailed Thorne's financial motivations, Vance's role as an operative, and the calculated exploitation of Mia's artistic ambition. He revealed the anonymous emails, the staged photographic sessions, and the intended release of the compromising images. He laid bare Thorne's attempt to leverage Mia's perceived indiscretions to destroy Elijah's career and reputation. Thorne, initially dismissive, grew increasingly agitated as Elijah systematically dismantled his carefully constructed narrative of plausible deniability. Vance, cornered and exposed, stammered denials that were quickly disproven by Antoine's irrefutable photographic and digital evidence. Mia, listening to Elijah's chillingly precise expose, felt a profound wave of shame and a dawning realization of how deeply she had been manipulated. Her quest for passion and recognition had been twisted into a tool of destruction. Her art, once her sanctuary, had become an instrument of betrayal. "You sought to break me, Thorne," Elijah said, his voice hardening slightly, "by using the one thing you thought would hurt me the most, my wife's perceived unhappiness. But you underestimated the strength of truth, and you underestimated the power of calculated strategy." He then turned to Mia, his gaze softening almost imperceptibly. "Mia, you were used. Your talent, your desires, were manipulated, but the lens, ultimately, reveals what is real. And what is real is that this was never about love, or even about us, it was about power." The confrontation wasn't an explosion of raw emotion, but a cold, hard unveiling. Thorne, his face a mask of impotent fury, was faced with the undeniable evidence of his scheme, the exposure of his ruthlessness. Vance, stripped of his charm and his carefully crafted persona, was left with nothing but the crumbling remnants of his deceit. The aftermath was quiet, devoid of any grand pronouncements. Thorne, facing potential legal repercussions and the destruction of his carefully guarded reputation, was left to deal with the fallout of his own ambition. Vance, his career in tatters, vanished from the art world. Mia, humbled and profoundly shaken, looked at Elijah. The love, though deeply scarred by betrayal, was not entirely extinguished. The passion had been a dangerous illusion, a siren song that had led her astray, but in the sterile light of truth, a new understanding began to dawn. I was so lost, Elijah," she whispered, her voice raw with emotion. I thought you didn't see me anymore, Julian. He made me feel like I mattered, like my art was everything." Elijah met her gaze, his own eyes holding a weariness that spoke of battles fought and lessons learned. "The lens captures what is visible, Mia," he said, his voice steady, "but sometimes, the most important truths are hidden, waiting to be discovered. We both lost sight of what truly mattered. Perhaps we can learn to see again, not as rivals, or as victims, but as survivors." The future remained uncertain, a canvas yet to be painted. A divorce was a distinct possibility, a logical consequence of the profound rift that had opened between them. Yet, in the shared silence, in the quiet recognition of the darkness they had both navigated, lay the faint, fragile aroma of a new beginning. The meticulously crafted lens of betrayal had ultimately focused on the truth, revealing not just the infidelity, but the intricate web of deceit that had threatened to consume them both. The story was not a simple tragedy, but a complex narrative of ambition, manipulation, and the enduring, if battered, possibility of redemption. Dear listeners of the Book Whisper, we hope you've been left with a lasting impression. We're constantly searching for new stories to share with you. Don't miss what's next. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Give us a like if you'd love more audiobooks like this. Until our next meeting on the pages of our tales.